No, because that would take TIF realignment. It would take raising certain people's taxes. It would take all kinds of things. It would take stop funding the cranes downtown, all the building, Fulton Market. I can't imagine how much money we threw in the Fulton Market to make it what it is today. But you know where that money came from. Okay, so I'm going to stop ranting on that issue, although I could do it all day. I did it all last week with Paul Vallis.
Those are, wait a minute. Well, Tracy, those are very important issues to be ranting about. Because, there's money going into the Fulton Market that could have went into many of these like communities all across the city itself. All right. And the priorities of the administration is to put money in those areas for the upper middle class white folks instead of then putting that money into communities for blacks and Latinos. All right. And so that's the bottom line right there. Now, of course, you know what, like Lightfoot and many of these other sort of like politicians would say, oh, no, you're absolutely wrong. You're misunderstanding what we're trying to do. No one's misunderstanding what you're trying to do. It is obvious and right in our faces that you don't give a damn whatsoever.
Right. And the reality is, I talked about this last week with Paul Vallis. I've talked about it with Barry Friedman on the show too. The reality is, if you want to, you take tax increment financing. My opinion is every time a city dollar, a city penny goes into any kind of development and ends up funding anything that a private contractor is building, we should be able to install requirements or instill whatever requirements about who they employ, right? Who they're training on those jobs. Do you want to build that, like we put 200 million or 100 or 200 million into that damn stadium up by McCormick Place? I can never remember the name of it. But it's like, all right, you're getting $100 million, great. 50% of, or like 85% of your employees, if you want to build this, have to be from the city, or 100%. And not only that, but like 50% have to come from these certain zip codes and have to look this certain way, have to meet these demographic standards. And by the way, here's an extra 100 people you are going to spend, and they're going to be divvied up among the trades, and you're going to train them on this job with our money, right? How we're paying them $100 million, we have no idea who they're employing, where those jobs are going. And for what it's worth, Alderman Fioretti, when he first ran in the second ward, which was the South Loop and Bronzeville area at that time, he said he walked the ward one time. He walked the whole ward during the election. He told me he kept going to all these job sites and talking to the workers, and none of them lived in Chicago. It's like, what are we doing spending? All right, that project got $20 million of city money, and now it's going to some rich owner who's the contractor, and all the workers are from the suburbs. Like, what are we doing putting our money, employing people from the suburbs? Now, if you're going to, there are arguments whether or not we should fund them at all, but if we're going to, it ought to be that money is going into people who live, the pockets of the people who live in the city, and to develop as best we can and train people and give them opportunities from the wards and neighborhoods that most need it. Right?
That would be the way to do it. That would be the way to. But unfortunately, that's not the way that it happens. And I think that's sort of like the seeding anger that you see within the communities itself, because people are very well aware of what's going on, and they're well aware of where monies are going, and where are the job opportunities. And I think that sees that anger to the point that it boils up, as we have seen during like the rebellion and some of the unfortunate sort of issues that occurred with that. Well, what happens to those businesses? All right, and are those businesses going to get some sort of relief in terms of like trying to reopen? And what, we had COVID, which had I think severe sort of like not only sort of like economic, but also a personal human impact on like many of these like low income communities. And what's going to happen? And there's no money's coming back into these communities. Now I know that the mayor's office announced some sort of initiative on the south and the west sides for some sort of reinvestment, but we've lived through many of these sort of major announcements, and they're great announcements, and they get a lot of sort of media attention, but in the end, when there's sort of an analysis of it, did it really sort of benefit the people that it was supposed to benefit?